So first of all, we'd like to welcome everyone. Thank you so much for joining. I do understand that it's a weekend and everyone's time is valuable. So we really thought this would be a useful session to offer to those students who are now entering the final dissertation phase of their DBA program. So really the goal of today's session is to provide the students with an overview of the dissertation writing process at KWU University. We also want to describe a little bit how, sorry about this, trying to record and it's also, okay, here we go. Just trying to record here. Okay. So the dissertation evaluation assessment rubric is also going to be shared with students. We'll provide you with some tips for successfully completing your dissertation. We'll review with you some frequently asked questions, which I know that students will certainly have. And then there will be time at the end for some open Q&A. So if you have specific questions that we did not cover that you need to have addressed during this session, you do have myself, we have Vasily Erokin. For those of you that don't know Dr. Erokin, he is one of our most published professors. So he really specializes in research and has done some fantastic research and peer review in the field of economics. So he's on hand to take any questions you have in terms of publications, etc. We also have Dr. Saar, who has joined us today. Dr. Saar is leading the first course that's part of the dissertation phase of the doctoral program here at KWU University. So we'll be glad to address any questions that you have amongst the three of us. And we also have Rolanda, who is someone familiar to everyone who's joined today. And Rolanda can also help you with any administrative questions you may have. So, just to begin, we did want to start off by setting expectations with everyone. There are essentially three key phases of the doctoral dissertation program at KWU University. Students who have just begun this journey are in phase one. And as I mentioned, that is the course that Dr. Saar is facilitating this term, and it's called Writing the Defensible Doctoral Dissertation. So really the goal with this first phase of the program is to make sure that all students who are enrolled complete a dissertation prospectus by the end of it. And essentially that functions as your outline for writing your dissertation, right? It contains many of the key questions that you'll be addressing in your research. It provides to your future dissertation advisor the key inputs that they need to be able to guide you in this process. And there's also a section in that dissertation prospectus that will allow you as a DBA student to plan out your time and determine how long it may take for you to reach your end goal. And that is to defend your dissertation in front of the committee and earn your DBA credential. Okay. Phase two of this process is Business 722. So that is a course that you will begin this summer. And it focuses on the literature review. And it encompasses writing the first 3 chapters of your dissertation. It is a 6 credit hour course. And unlike those courses that you've taken before at KWU University, it is not one that has a definitive end date. So you do not have to complete it in 10 weeks. And in fact, that would be highly unrealistic. So those of us who have earned our doctoral degrees, so myself, Dr. Araka, and Dr. Sar included, we all know that writing 3 full chapters of a dissertation takes time and effort, and it's not something that can be accomplished in a 10-week time frame. Okay. Vasily, Dr. Sar, anything else that you want to add to that in terms of writing the first few chapters of the dissertation?
No, not really this time. Maybe later, if there are questions from students. Yeah.
For sure. And then the last phase of your DBA journey will include writing the last 2 chapters of your dissertation. So that is chapter 4 and 5, and they really focus on providing the results of your analysis and recommendations, conclusions that are useful not just for those in academia, but also hopefully in the business community. And you will have an opportunity to defend your dissertation in front of a dissertation committee. So we'll talk a little bit more about that process later on in the presentation. Okay, once again, Business 723, the final part of your journey as a DBA student does not have a definitive timetable assigned to it. So it's not something that you need to complete in 10 weeks. Okay, so let's move on. And I know this is very small, and I will send this to everyone post our meeting today, but I wanted to walk you through this just to set some expectations. So as we talked about, Business 721, this is the course that you're taking right now. And at the end of it, you will have a completed dissertation prospectus. Okay. I am going to ask all students who are enrolled in that particular course right now to start thinking about who they would like to work with as a dissertation advisor. So thinking about kind of your topic that you want to focus on from a research perspective, the professors that you worked with at KWU so far in your program, kind of their areas of specialization, who you feel comfortable working with, who you feel would be able to provide you with the best guidance in this phase of your studies. And we will ask students to send to me via email their top 2 preferences for working with dissertation advisors. So the name of that professor, why you feel you would want to, or why you feel you would benefit from working with that professor, and the general direction or area that you want to perform your research in, whether that's financial management, project management, marketing, etc. And we will work with those professors to determine if they are available and open to working with each of you. So your top preference and then 1 backup. Okay. After that, so after you successfully completed Business 721, you'll move on to Business 722. And as I mentioned, no fixed timetable for completing that. There are a few steps that you will be taking in terms of that course. So you'll have the opportunity to write chapters 1 through 3. After you complete each chapter, just like you do today, you'll upload it into the online learning portal, and you'll receive feedback from your advisor on those different chapters. You will incorporate all feedback provided by your advisor. Make sure you're proofreading your work. I do highly recommend, if you're not a native speaker of English, grammar, punctuation, also citations, they are all very important when writing your dissertation. Feel free to hire a proofreading company. Many students do, and not just non-native speakers of English. I'm talking about native speakers as well, just because maybe they don't necessarily have the skills or the time to do all of the citations in the required format. So that's something that you may explore. That's not something that we're going to tell you to do or not tell you to do. It's entirely up to you as a student you know your capabilities. If you want to hire a proofreader or editor for your dissertation, you're welcome to do that. After you have incorporated all of your feedback on chapters 1 through 3, and you and your advisor feel that you're comfortable now with the quality, then you will submit it for evaluation to the dissertation coordinator. And what's going to happen then is that an entirely different professor will read the first 3 chapters as well. And they will provide you with some additional impartial feedback that we'll expect you to incorporate too. And why is that being done? I'll explain. So your dissertation advisor may be a subject matter expert, as I mentioned before, in marketing, in project management, in financial management. But if you choose to do your dissertation using quantitative methods or qualitative methods, right? We do have instructors who specialize in business statistics if it's quantitative, right? Or they've done extensive qualitative research in the past. So they'll look at it and they'll evaluate it more from a research methods perspective. And they may also look at things in terms of the structure, the flow of your dissertation, and provide you with some additional quality feedback. At the end of the day, we're interested in you having a product that is going to be valued by the business community and valued by the academic community. Okay. Then after you receive that feedback and you've incorporated it, you'll move on and you'll write and complete chapters 4 and 5 of your dissertation. And those are really interesting ones because that's when the rubber hits the road, so to speak. Meaning, you know, you've designed how you want to conduct your research, you've identified the population that you're going to use for your research, and now it's time to actually get that survey out there or go interview individuals who are going to provide input to your research. And then you're going to analyze that data and you're going to be providing useful recommendations and conclusions. So once again, it will go through the review process after you're done with chapters 4 and 5. Your dissertation advisor will review it in addition to one other professor. And if you earn a passing score on that final version, you'll be invited to defend your dissertation. And the dissertation committee will include 3 professors, all of whom have earned their doctorates or DBAs. And you'll have approximately a half an hour to present your dissertation, right? The topic of your research, the setup of your research, what methods you use, how you conducted it, your results, conclusions, or recommendations. And if you successfully defend it and respond to any questions they have, you will become a doctor and have the privileges and entitlements that come along with that. So that really is the journey. Once again, I do apologize that this slide is quite small. It's difficult to make out the text, but I'll be happy to share that with everyone after today's session. Okay. And if we move on to the next slide, these are the 5 chapters that comprise your dissertation. So chapter 1 is the overview. It's where you're going to include the problem statement that you're researching. What purpose and significance does your research serve? What are your fundamental research questions and hypotheses? Any assumptions or limitations? You'll summarize that first chapter. Chapter 2 is really kind of digging into the existing literature available on your topic, right? So while we all like to think that our research is 100% original, to be honest, there are many scholars that have explored related topics in the past. Not just scholars, there may be great sources in the business community as well. For example, PwC, Accenture, The Big Four consulting firms do a lot of research, the Gartner Group. So your job really is to identify and synthesize the existing literature on topics related to your particular dissertation, right? And critique the previous research. So maybe it has shortcomings. Maybe there are areas that the previous researchers did not explore, right? So that is your job as a doctoral candidate, to research the available literature, synthesize it, and constructively critique it in chapter 2. Chapter 3 is where you're going to explain the methodology that you've chosen to use. So are you going to conduct quantitative research, right? Are you going to use a survey instrument, for example, in your research? Or are you going to use qualitative methods? Will you be interviewing individuals as part of your research? Will you be running focus groups, etc.? And you'll need to back up and state why you chose that particular methodology. Maybe it's because previous researchers have also used that methodology. Maybe because your topic lends itself more to quantitative as opposed to qualitative methods. So that's really the purpose of chapter 3. You'll also talk about the population and how are you going to gain access to it. So just as an example, when I did my research, I did it on project management success factors in the Russian Federation. I used quantitative methods and I surveyed the members of the Project Management Institute of Russia. So these were all project manager practitioners. And I used a survey to do that. So explaining how are you going to gain access to, members of an organization or employees in a particular business, etc. So that is the purpose of chapter 3. Chapter 4 and 5, this is when you'll be outlining the results of your analysis, preparing your results and presenting them. And finally, coming to some conclusions and recommendations. These could be recommendations for further research. They could be recommendations for the business community, etc. So, and when you wrap up, you will have a very significant chunk of references based on all of the citations that you've included throughout your work. You may have some appendices, for example, if you're using a survey, it could be the actual survey questionnaire that comes in the appendices, etc. All right, any questions there on the dissertation chapters?
I have very quick questions.
Yes, go ahead, Dr. Sar.
Yeah, thank you. Before students actually, I would say independent scholars, starts collecting data within the process, do they have to pass the IAB application first? All right, thank you.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That was my question.
Mm-hmm. All right. Guillen, any questions from you at this stage? I think you're on mute. There
No,
you
it's
go.
okay. No, I don't have questions. No, so maybe later.
Okay.
Thank you.
Let us know if you do. Okay. Now moving on to selecting a dissertation advisor. We did talk about this a little bit earlier, so just some considerations to keep in mind. First and foremost, you want to think about the professors you've worked with and what professional and academic experience they have related to your area of research. Secondly, you know through your experience what instructors have provided you with high quality, timely feedback, who you feel comfortable working with. So keep that in mind as well as you're making a selection. And I am going to ask later on in the presentation, once again, that you email me your preferences in the first week of April. Okay. Okay. This next section is really interesting because I think all DBA students are thinking in the back of their minds, well, how is my dissertation actually going to be assessed? What criteria is going to be used? So we do use a 10-point scale. And if you earn above an 8, it is a passing score. And you will be permitted to defend your dissertation in front of the committee. So that is really what you're aiming for, a score of 8 or above. And you can see here that we have various descriptions. I do want to say that you should not in any way as a student feel bad if you earn a 5 or a 6 or a 7 in your first pass. This is totally normal. It can be a little bit frustrating. You may have earned B's and A's throughout your academic experience, and you may, look at some of the feedback that's provided and think, oh, I just want to get this over with. I want to finish. I want to complete this. But this feedback is being provided so that ultimately your dissertation is of high quality. And if you choose to publish at some point in the future, you will not have extensive rewrites to do at that point. So there is an assessment rubric that we use to come up with the final grades, which I will share here. Okay, so you will be assessed on the topic appropriateness, in addition to how strong the theoretical foundation is of your dissertation, how appropriate is your methodology is to the research that you've selected to do, the quality of your analysis, conclusion and practical applications, the general organization of your scholarly work, the writing and tone as well, grammar, and APA style and format. Okay, and of course, obviously, some of these criteria are more important than others. So the abstract, introduction, background, obviously the research methodology, the questions, let's call it the meat of the dissertation, the data collection, the analysis, conclusions, those are all weighted more than the scholarly writing, grammar, APA style and format. However, I do want to say that if you have lower than a 7, and we do call this out in the presentation, for APA style and format and grammar, you will not be permitted to defend your dissertation. So there are some minimum standards just to keep in mind. And I know that it's kind of everyone's bane of existence, the APA formatting. Everybody thinks, oh, this is minutia. But once again, there are scholarly standards that we need to uphold. And I do want to take a minute, just give me a minute to log into the Learn the Learn Library platform. And I'm going to do another share screen. Okay, hold on just a second. I'm going to share my other screen now. Okay, can everyone see the Learn e-library that I have up right now?
Yes, I can.
Okay. Perfect. Okay, so you're all familiar with this. Basically, a DBA student's best friend is going to be the ProQuest Central database here, in addition to the dissertation and theses global and the research library. So these all have high quality resources that you may use in your literature review. And I just wanted to spend a minute to show you a bit of a life hack that will help you with APA formatting. All right, so right now I'm just in the ProQuest Central database. And I've come up with, sorry, I've searched for some articles here. And let me see, let me find it. All right, let's just go with the first one. So let's say I read through this article and I find that it may be useful to reference and cite in my literature review or somewhere in my dissertation. There is a button here in the upper right-hand corner called Cite. And if I click on it, it is automatically going to format for me this particular reference citation. So this, once again, is going to go at the end of my dissertation in the references section, right? So I will copy this and paste it. It is an APA format. Note that ProQuest is still using the 6th edition. We prefer that students use the 7th edition, but there only are minor changes to be aware of. So for the most part, 6th and 7th edition are quite similar. I would start by copying and pasting things right out of here. And then if you need to do a bit more edit and clean up on your references, you can always go back and do that. But this is a big time saver. It's very helpful. It's a life hack that will be useful to you as you're doing, as you're conducting your research, essentially, and in particular, your literature review. Okay. All right, let me stop sharing this screen then, and we will go back to the main presentation. Okay, so just moving on to some tips for success. Just like throughout your program of study, we do recommend avoid procrastination. I think when this gets really tough is when you move into the next phase of your dissertation. So after you successfully complete the course that you're taking with Dr. Saar right now, because it is a very individual journey, right? You're no longer going to be studying and in an online classroom environment with structured due dates, weekly discussion forum posts or assignments that you need to post. And you need to be able to keep yourself on track and also keep yourself motivated, right? We do want to stress the importance of using high quality references. And this is something that I learned from personal experience, and Dr. Saar and Dr. Arakan will probably say the same. Even if you consider yourself to be somewhat of an expert on the topic that you're writing on, you still do need to ensure that you are including adequate citations throughout your dissertation, right? Because in the academic world, you know, you're not a doctor yet, and this is a very important thing. We're not so much interested in your opinion, we are interested in your ability to back up your research, right? With other research that has been conducted on the topic and report your findings. So do want to stress that. It can be hard sometimes, especially for those who have 10, 15, sometimes 20 years of professional experience already under their belt, to remember that and keep it in mind. Okay. And in terms of your literature review, we also want to stress that it's important to make sure that you're using updated references as well and citing them throughout, because the world of business changes so rapidly, right? You may be including citations that are from 10 years ago when you're talking about kind of the, or 15 years ago, 20 years ago, the initial research, or I'm losing my train of thought a little bit, but the initial kind of research or beginning of research on related topics. But you need to show how that research has evolved and progressed in your field of study, in your field of research. And you also need to ensure that you're incorporating the latest findings and thinking in terms of your topic. So please remember to keep that in mind and include recent citations. Any other tips from your own personal experiences, Dr. Saar, Dr. Arakan, that you would like to share?
Yes, of course. There are a bunch of software you can use for reference check at the same time when it comes to following the APA. I think we're following the APA 7, correct?
That's right.
Yeah, so you can use those softwares as well. And the APA 7 actually makes it easy because you don't have to use compulsory the DOI. You can still use the source where you extracted. But like Dr. Zabelina underlined it, you have to make sure you align with the requirement when it comes to using sources, and mostly peer-reviewed or scholarly sources are the most welcome. And I do believe that you have that capacity of greatness to go over this process and make this journey successful.
It's very inspirational. Thank you, Dr. Saar.
You're welcome.
Dr. Arakan, anything else that you would like to add to that?
Yes, I would like to add about the the fourth point: use high quality references. There are so many publications today, and sometimes it's challenging to identify what is actually high quality, what is not. And I think that it is good to look at the quality of the journal, the quality of the source, and well, most of the high quality journals, they are referenced, they are indexed in the such global databases as World of Web of Science or Scopus. They have high impact factors, so it is crucial to look at these well, quality parameters of the journal itself.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Arakan.
Dr. Zabelina, I just shared in the chat recitework.com. That will really help you, when it comes to checking your reference to make sure everything is in order in terms of alphabetic order. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Dr. Saar. And that's something that I can include whenever I send out the presentation as well, students. So thank you. Okay. Any questions before we progress further?
I would say I'm just happy to see some of my students, including Ghislaine.
Of course.
So happy to see you.
Good.
Me too. Thank you very much, Dr. Saar.
You're welcome.
Pleasure.
Okay.
Very good.
All right, let's continue with some of our tips for success. So we do want to ensure that you are communicating frequently with your dissertation advisor. So as I mentioned before, it is very much an individual journey. However, you are not alone, right? And that's important to remember. So if you're getting stuck, if you're not sure what direction to take your research, that is when you do need to be reaching out and remembering that you do have an advisor that's available to support you, right? So email them, talk it through. They will certainly guide you in the right direction. However, they're not there to do your work, right? So there is an important line. They're there to support you, to provide guidance, but you are expected to be doing your work independently. Okay. And please do submit each chapter to review as soon as a high quality draft is ready. So I think one mistake that dissertation, well, students that enter the dissertation process make is they start writing chapters 1, 2, and 3. They go down one direction, and maybe It's not the right direction, right? So getting frequent feedback and guidance from your advisor is going to be absolutely key to your success, okay? Make sure that you are addressing all deficiencies, and I've underlined here all deficiencies. So if it's an APA formatting issue, if it's a grammar issue, if it's a structure issue, you might think, oh, this is so inconsequential, but no, you are expected to address it if the feedback is provided, either by your dissertation advisor or by another member of the review committee. And just remember that writing a dissertation is a humbling experience. It should not be a scary one, but it is a humbling one. Like I said, there are many, many students that have extensive career experience, and to kind of put yourself in the position that you are not necessarily the expert when it comes to this topic. You're here to perform research, to grow as a researcher, and hopefully this research is going to add some value to members of the business community and or the academic community when it's finalized. Okay, I stress the importance of maintaining a respectful and professional tone in your communication. So if feedback is provided, if you need some additional clarification from your advisor or another member of the review committee, please be respectful when you're emailing or if you're communicating through the online learning platform with those individuals. Okay, please follow proper formatting guidelines for headings, indenting, fonts, etc. Those guidelines will be provided to you as you move on to your next stage of the dissertation process. So you will receive a template, essentially, as well as a sample completed dissertation. So you'll have that as guidance as well. And like I said, if you feel like you would benefit from having a proofreading or editing company review your dissertation, that is an option to you. This is not something that we're going to stress or make a recommendation on or say, use this company or that company. But if you feel like it would be beneficial, please go ahead and select a company and engage with them to do that. This next question is one that we often get, right? It's the age-old question, how long, how many pages should my dissertation be when it's completed, right? Well, to be honest, that is so individual, depending on the nature of your research, your topic, etc. I do want to say that at Key West, we're limiting the max to 400,000 words. So in general, your dissertation should not go over 200 pages. If I had to guess an average, and based on the literature that I've reviewed, for business-related dissertations, so those done in a DBA or PhD in business management and related fields, generally it's 150 pages. If your dissertation ends up being 110, 120, I mean, provided you've covered what you need to and your advisor and the committee is satisfied with it, you are not going to receive a lower mark just because it's under 150, right? That is not the aim. It's not quantity, it is quality that we are focused on. Okay. A second question that we get is, can I use quantitative, qualitative, or mixed methods to conduct my research? You can choose between quantitative or qualitative, depending on the nature of your research. We do not, unfortunately, let students conduct mixed methods. And the reason for that is mixed methods is really suitable for someone who has been doing research for a longer period of time. It's more complex in nature. So we would like you to master one or the other as part of your initial dissertation writing process. If you decide to pursue a career in academia or conduct research later, you may have an opportunity to incorporate mixed methods in your research. Do I need to defend my dissertation in person? There is no need for you to make any arrangements to travel to Florida to defend your dissertation. So many of us on today's call, myself included, have done 100% online DBA programs ourselves. And this can all be done with Zoom today with using modern technology. So there is no need to make any travel plans. Okay. This next one, here's a bit of humor for everyone this Saturday morning for us, Saturday afternoon or evening, wherever you're located in the world. But this is an age-old question as well. How many references should I include, right? So this little cartoon here shows a student and a professor, and the student is asking, "Professor, how many references do I need to include?" And Professor Jones is saying, "Well, basically too few, and people are going to think you're making things up. Too many, people are going to think you're unoriginal," right? So the aim is to strike a balance, and really, if we analyze published dissertations, it's usual to have somewhere between 120, 150 references. Okay, just to set expectations with everyone. So who will be part of the actual dissertation when I present my findings and go before the committee? There will be 3 faculty members. Generally, that is your advisor plus 2 others. We do not disclose to students in advance the composition of the committee. So you will find out that day when you will be defending your dissertation. Another age-old question is, how long do students typically take to complete their dissertation? Once again, there is no prescribed completion date. It largely depends on how busy you are. I know that in general, DBA students, especially in the online, those that choose to pursue online program DBAs, often you are working full-time, you may have personal commitments as well. So the maximum time allocated is 8 years for your program in total, from the time that you enroll at KWU until the time that you are expected to complete and defend your dissertation, right? So we can't go over that 8-year mark. We hope that many of you will finish within 5 years. So that includes your initial 2 to 3 years of coursework plus time to complete your dissertation. But 8 years is the max, right? And will my dissertation automatically be published? The answer to that is no. However, we do provide guidance in publishing, and Dr. Irakan, as I mentioned, is one of our most published faculty members. He can provide some additional guidance in terms of what journals may be good to start out with in terms of publishing articles related to your research. And Vasily, I'll turn it over to you if you have any maybe advice in that area to share with scholars as they begin their dissertation journey. I'm sorry, Dr. Irakan, is there anything that you wanted to add to that?
Not actually, but yes, I'd like to say that I am absolutely open for giving any recommendations, any kind of consultations to students, depending on the topic. I can help. Will select a proper journal or a proper publisher, even if a student wants to publish the entire dissertation as it is, as a monograph or as a book. Probably there are several publishing houses that can offer such an opportunity, even for free or with some inexpensive option. So I'm open for that. And also myself, I'm a part of several journals. I'm an associate editor in several journals. I'm editorial board member in several journals, so I can direct a paper, again, depending on the topic, to any journal.
That's really helpful, Vasily. So please understand that you do have support in that area. And as you continue your dissertation writing journey and kind of near the end, and you start thinking, if you're starting to think about publishing, or even as an alumni, you know, once you get through the actual defense and you're thinking about publishing, we will put you in contact with Dr. Rockin and provide you with some additional guidance in that area. And I see that Guillen is raising his hand. So Guillen, feel free to ask a question.
Yes, I have a question. I just wanted to know, let's say we already started with the subject and for the dissertation. Do we have like a kind of deadline that we have to make sure that, okay, we need to present our dissertation or not?
Actually, no, you do not. So as I mentioned, it is very much an individual journey. After you get through the course with Dr. Saar, you'll have 8 years in total from the time that you enrolled in the KWU DBA program until the time you complete it and defend your dissertation. So how quickly or how slowly you progress is going to depend on your the time that you can dedicate to this, the direction that you take, the number of reviews or edits that are required by your advisor and others who review your work.
Okay, thank you. Because my purpose is to finish as quick as possible, if it's possible this year. So I'll do my best to attend that.
Okay. Yeah, it's very much up to you. And if you can dedicate more time to it, then you may progress faster than others.
Thank you.
Sure. Okay. So next steps, just moving into our final slides, is start thinking about who you would like to work with as a dissertation advisor. Familiarize yourself once again with the APA's 7th edition guidelines, and I will share the link as well that Dr. Saar provided you with. And get familiar with the requirements for citing other authors. Once again, go into Learn, get familiar with the different databases there that you can leverage for your research, as well as external scholarly databases, other sources that may be applicable to your research. Start organizing your time. Once again, this is very important for all of us who are juggling possibly work, personal commitments, and our studies. And identify a support network is pretty key as well. So once again, if you've got a very busy schedule, think about family, friends, etc., who can support you in this journey and help keep you on track. So I believe, as Dr. Saar mentioned earlier, that you have what it takes to be successful, really, and earned your DBA degree. And that is going to depend very much on getting yourselves organized, staying motivated throughout the process, not being afraid to ask questions of your dissertation advisor when you need that additional guidance, right? And keeping in close contact with them. And you'll be successful in your journey. So we want to congratulate those of you that have made it this far. Not everyone succeeds, right, in making it to the dissertation phase of their studies. And the fact that you're here today and you're participating in this presentation with us shows that, from a quality perspective, your work, you have what it takes to basically get to the end goal. And you've been able to organize your time efficiently and stay motivated over the first 2.5 years of your program. So congratulations to all of you who have made it to this milestone, because it really is a milestone in your academic studies. So, Rolanda, anything else that you would like to add? Because I know that you've worked with some of the students from the beginning as well.
Yes, and so again, congratulations for making it to this part of your studies. And just wanted to remind you that we're part of your support team as well. So if there is anything that we can do and help with in terms of support, encouragement, motivation, we're here to assist you with that and really cheer you on until the finish line.
Thank you very much.
Excellent. Okay. And finally, if anyone has any questions that we did not cover in today's presentation, we do have 5 minutes left for Q&A, and I believe you have everyone on this call who is more than happy to take any final questions.
Dr. Zabelina, may I add something?
Yes.
Very quickly. Thank you.
Of course.
So I just want to share one common mistake that DBA students make. And I believe Dr. Zabelina stressed on that earlier before. So when you actually follow a DBA program, you should be aware that DBA aim at adding to business practices, but not finding a gap in the literature. And the reason you're taking a DBA, it's because you want to focus on applied research, and applied research does not fill in the gap when it comes to the literature. You only work on identifying best practices in business. And this is something really good because there will be implications for professional and business practices, and there will be implications for social impact that your findings might have, not only on the community, but also on other areas, of development, including education and so forth. So like Rolanda stated, we are here to support you in achieving that goal. You are not alone in this journey, but it's all depend on you. You have to cultivate that growth mindset. You have to focus on that. And you have to follow, because you're provided with almost everything. Use the resources in the library. There is a bunch of resources I sometimes go over, and it's unbelievable. You can learn a lot. Nothing is impossible. You're close to the milestone. Don't give up.
I love that. Thank you, Dr. Sar.
You're welcome.
That's very good, really.
So hopefully everyone is feeling enthusiastic and energized as a result of today's presentation and discussion, as opposed to intimidated, because our intent was certainly not to intimidate or scare anyone, but certainly level set in terms of expectations. Make sure that you understand that you do have a support network in place, and essentially call out the tools and what's available to you in terms of embarking on this next step in the dissertation writing process. So thank you everyone for joining today, and we'll look forward to learning who your top selections are. Please email me with your dissertation advisor thoughts and your thoughts on your research topics by the end of the first week of April. Please include one top choice as well as a backup, and then I will be working with them over the course of April, and we'll be confirming by the end of April who you'll be working with as your advisors. Okay, so thank you everyone. I will send out the presentation soon after we wrap up today, and I want to wish everyone a great weekend ahead. Okay, enjoy some time off, and hopefully you don't have too many assignments due on Monday.
All right.
Very good.
Thanks everyone.
Yes.
Yeah, merci beaucoup. Hein. Bien, tu parles français, n'est-ce pas?
Oui, je parle français, bien sûr. Ça, c'est ma langue
Parfait.
maternelle. Mais très bien, c'est que vous parlez français aussi.
Tu es où actuellement?
À Bruxelles.
Ah, tu es à Bruxelles.
Je suis à
Ok.
Bruxelles.
Bonjour.
Vous parlez bien français?
Bonjour. Ah, mais bien sûr, je suis sénégalais, moi. Et tu es d'origine de quel pays?
Du Congo,
Brazza ou Kinshasa?
de Kinshasa. Donc, je suis
Je suis
mélangé.
très ami à ton président par ailleurs, hein.
Voilà.
Ouais.
Très bien. Magnifique.
Parfait. Je parle 17 langues, hein. I
Wow.
speak 17 languages.
That's very good. Vous parlez très, très bien en plus. Félicitations en tout cas. Polyglotte.
Madame Zabelina aussi, docteur Zabelina, parle français couramment.
Ouais, ouais.
Ah, bien sûr, elle parle
On en
français.
parle pas. C'est très bien, ça, je savais pas.
Yeah.
OK. That's very good.
Je parle le
I'm
russe
surprised.
aussi,
Non,
mais
vous parlez bien français, docteur Zabelina.
17 langues, c'est superbe.
No, thanks for initiating this. I hope we're gonna have, you know, more discussion like this. And I believe we should even think about integrating, you know, Zoom sessions as we're moving forward. I'll be very glad to do that with my doctorate students.
Great.
Yeah. So that's one takeaway I'm going with today.
Okay.
Dr. Arakan, can you tell everyone good luck in Mandarin, or do we know that phrase?
Yes, good luck to everyone. I think it's a challenging road. Absolutely, it's a challenge, and sometimes an often disappointing one. But at the end, it's interesting. It's fascinating. What I love about it is actually when you learn new things, and yeah, it's really fascinating. So good luck to everyone.
Zuni, how are you?
All right. Well, have a great weekend, everyone. We'll be in touch soon. Bye.
Okay. Thank you.